Hey, how you doing, YouTube? Making another video. This is my top 10 movie trilogies I have in my collection. Just my own personal top 10 trilogies in my collection. So I'm not saying these the best ever. It's just I pick a top 10. I was going through my collection. I said, you know what? Let me give a personal list of my top 10 trilogies. Only of the three movies in the series. There's some movies in here that I have in my collection that in my top 10. They continue their stories with extra, part 5, part 6. But I'm only going to do the first 3 trilogies in the series that made the movie strong, made the series strong. So I'm not going to go ahead and go through the rest of the movies in the series. Just want to do the first 3. Just want to get that across. If you're new to my channel, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Yeah, we talk about physical media. Here talk about home entertainment, stuff that y'all do at home. Talk about man caves, if you're a female/woman cave. Just talk about home entertainment, video games. If you're into that type of stuff, please click the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching. So I'm not gonna have this video for the last too long. Just try to go through this list as soon as possible. Maybe tell you a little story about each movie that I present to you and why I put this as in my top 10 list. So I brought down all my trilogies, went through every one, trying to figure out what was the top 10 trilogies I'll be like, I could watch all 3 and enjoy the movies. Some of them I wouldn't say I like all 3, but some that I say I could, sit down and watch part 1 to 3. And, and it was a hard list to make. I didn't realize how hard and difficult it was going to be. I have so many, but I broke it down to the top 10. I did come down to two trilogies that I couldn't put in my top 10, but they are honorable mentions. Like I said, everybody's list is going to change throughout the years. They're going to come out with movies every year and add on to the trilogy. So this is my top 10 so far. My list probably changed, and hopefully in the future I could change my list and present it to y'all. So first I'm gonna mention my 2 honorable mentions and explain why they didn't make it to the top 10. So we're gonna start this list and start with the 2 honorable mentions. So come over here. We're gonna start with the Matrix trilogy. Didn't make it to the top 10, almost did, but I sit there and thought about it. Only one I really like out of the trilogy is part 1. Part 1 is my favorite out of the 3. I do enjoy part 2 and 3. I know a lot of people don't, but I do enjoy 2 and 3, but not as much as I do Matrix 1. And I couldn't put it in my top 10, especially over the 10 movies I have in my list, but it's definitely an honorable mention. And also, they came out with a 4. We're not going to get into that. Save that for another video. Next one I didn't make it to my top 10 trilogy movie is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I do love the Lord of the Rings trilogy movies. I've seen all 3. I feel part 2 is my personal favorite out of the 3. But it didn't make it to my top 10 because, again, like I said, this one was hard because I do like all 3. But, I like 1 and 2 more than I do Lord of the Rings 3, but it didn't make it to my top 10, but it's definitely an honorable mention. So those 2 are my 2 honorable mentions that make it to my top 10. But now I'm about to go over my top 10 list and break it down. So here, number 10, I have the Rush Hour trilogy. I do love part 1. I do love part 2. Part 3, not as much. They just announced it earlier this year. They plan on making a 4. But the first 3, I do like 2 out of the 3. They part of my childhood. My mom, my dad took me to the movies and see part 1 in the drive-in and seeing part 2, and we went to the movie theaters, and I love them both. I love the experience with part 3. Only reason I wasn't into part 3 was 1, it took too long to come out with 3, and 2, it just didn't thought it was better than the first 2. Somewhat, I did like 3 enough I could watch it, but it's not like one of those rewatchable, movies that in a trilogy that would keep me coming back. But I do own all three, and I'll see what part four is gonna hold. It's been a while since I've seen those two together, so we'll see what happens. But it did make it to my top 10, favorite trilogies in in my collection. Number nine, I have Marvel Universe, Captain America. I do own all three, and I do love the Captain America trilogy. Honestly, I think it's the best trilogy in the MCU. It's funny saying that because I wasn't really a Captain America fan before Captain America came out. When I went to the movies and seen part one, I wasn't really amped up about it. But two and three are clearly the best two movies in the trilogy. And honestly, it's hard for me to pick between which one I like more, the Civil War or Winter Soldier. But it's really tough. Out of the two, if you want to go over the MCU, I think two and three is maybe like in the top five of the MCU movies. There's a lot of MCU movies, and just saying those two is in the top five is crazy, and it still holds up. Yeah, this is the best trilogy. If I had to pick an MCU trilogy to watch, I would watch the Captain America trilogy, and that's number 9 on my list. Number 8 in my list. A lot of people don't talk about this movie, and I do watch other people's YouTube videos, and I rarely hear this movie title be called, but I love all three trilogies, not as much as 4 and not as much as the little spinoff they had, but this trilogy is one of my favorites, and I decided to go with this one, and as number 8 is the Bourne Identity trilogy, the Jason Bourne Identity, Jason Bourne trilogy. So I have all three still books of the first 3 movies, and I love this series, and I love this trilogy, and I think part 3 honestly is the best out of the trilogy. I love all 3, don't get me wrong, but I really did enjoy Born Ultimatum. I was mad it came out with 4. They could have just left it alone, but they came out with Jason Bourne. It wasn't bad, but it's definitely the 4th best movie in the series. But the first 3 trilogy, yes, I love these 3. I can always watch them and never get sick of them. But Jason Bourne series, that's number 8 on my list. Number 7, I just watched all 3 of them with my son about a month ago. He loved this trilogy, and for watching it all 3, we watch them one night at a time, not all at once, but I still holds up. That's Planet of the Apes trilogy. Love all 3. I remember when Planet of the Apes, the first one came out, I wasn't really amped about it, and I really, wasn't really gonna think I was gonna love it like that, but I rented from the Red Box, I believe, and popped it in, and I fell in love with it. And I really fell in love with it when it came out with Dawn, Planet of the Apes, and I really fell in love with it with the last movie in the series, War, Planet of the Apes. And I heard they was coming out with a part 4 to continue the story, so I'm looking forward to that. But this trilogy right here, I love Caesar. I love the whole storytelling. I love the special effects. Everything in this movie is great. Just seeing the growth from Caesar, from being a pet to a leader, is great. So if you haven't seen it, please check out the trilogy Planet of the Apes. You'll love it. So I believe that's what, number 8, 10, 9, 8. No, it's number 7. All right. Number 6 on my list is Die Hard. I have all the movies. This is a Die Hard Steelbook collection. I have all the movies from Die Hard 1 to 5, but the first 3, Die Hard, what was it again? Die Hard 2, Die Harder, Die Hard 3, Die with Vengeance, love the first 3. Trilogy. Part 2, in my opinion, is the weakest one in the series. Out of all 5 movies, I think Part 5 is the weakest one in the whole 5 movie series. It took me a while to like 4, but the first 3 is, part of my childhood. 1 definitely is part of my childhood. If you ever seen one of my videos, you will see I have a poster board of Die Hard coming down my basement. It's a nice, tribute to Bruce Willis, who was a guy who I grew up on, loving movies in the cinema. So the first three are my top in the series, and it will always be my top in the series. So definitely Die Hard. I even got the video game on the original PlayStation on my bought for Christmas, and I was just a straight Die Hard fan. So glad to have all 5 movies, and I can rewatch them anytime. So that's number 6 on my list. So now I'm gonna come down to the last 5 movies in my top 10 list. Again, if you're new to my channel, please click the like button, please subscribe, please show your support for this channel. I love going over top 10 of things on my list, and if you're new, please subscribe. I really love and appreciate the support. All right, so going in my top 5. Number 5, I have to go with the Dark Knight series, Christopher Nolan Batman series. I mean, if you see my past videos, I'll talk about these a lot. I do consider this the best trilogy of Batman, probably of any superhero movies. That's just my opinion. I do love all 3. I do feel like 3 is the weakest one in the series. I love 1 and 2. 2 is my favorite in the series, and I can rewatch these anytime, any day, and I enjoyed them. And this is number 5, my top, in my top 10 list, number 5, my trilogy. All right, coming down to my number 4 is Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters. I grew up on Ghostbusters. I watched cartoons, Ghostbusters. I've been watching Ghostbusters for years. I don't have the women Ghostbusters. I do have the movie itself. It's in my shelf somewhere, but I love the Steelbook, so I got the Steelbook. But besides that, the 3, when it came out with Ghostbusters Afterlife, I loved it. It was a good tribute to the original Ghostbusters. I did hear they was working on another one. I don't know how true that is, but I hope they are. I really did love Afterlife. I really thought it was a good comeback from the girls Ghostbusters, and I have nothing against that. They did try something new, but I wasn't feeling it. And yes, so the original Ghostbusters, I grew up on Ghostbusters, and nothing else I could say. They have Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis. If I say his name wrong, I'm sorry, Ramis. It's a classic. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. 80s Ghostbusters 1, early 90s, late 80s Ghostbusters 2, and then you got Afterlife, came out a few years ago, and which I love, so please check them out if you haven't seen them. But I'm a huge Ghostbuster guy, and I put that as number 4 on my list. Now coming down to the last 3 on my list, and number 3 is Back to the Future. If y'all seen my other previous videos, y'all should know I have a Back to the Future poster board. I grew up on this movie. I don't know how many times I've seen it. I do feel like part 2 is the slight weakest in this series. I won't say it's a perfect all 3 movie, but Back to the Future is number 3 on my list. Can't get tired watching this movie. Love the chemistry with John McFly and his professor, and Michael J. Fox play great in this movie. And it's part of my childhood. I remember having movie nights. We sat down to watch all 3 one time, and what can I say? It's part of my childhood. I'm glad I have it in my collection, and it's definitely number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is another movie that's part of my childhood, and matter of fact, they're coming out with part 5 coming out next week, and that is Indiana Jones, the original. On this set, I have all 4 movies in this set, but I have nothing against 4. Well, matter of fact, I take that back. I do have something against 4, but the first 3, Indiana Jones. I love the original 3, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Flawless. I love all 3 movies. I can't complain about either one. I might like part 3 maybe more than I do 1. Part 2 is my favorite. Temple of Doom is definitely my favorite. That's the main one I grew up on when I was a kid, and I always felt like that was my favorite. Even though I watched it today, I do feel like that's my favorite one in the series. I'm gonna go to the movies and see 5. I never seen Indiana Jones in a movie theater. So this be my first time experience, especially when it's going to be his last time playing the character. So I plan on going to the movies and watching it. I heard mixed things about it, but at the end of the day, it's my opinion that only matters. So can't wait to go check it out and give it a look. But number 2, definitely my list. Cannot complain. All right, so number 1 on my top 10 trilogy movies in my collection, and that is the Toy Story. I presented this in my last video, but this is a toy chest, and it had the Toy Story movies inside. But the reason I made this number 1, it was definitely hard, definitely between Indiana Jones and Toy Story. But Toy Story definitely is did something that Indiana Jones don't do, and it really hit the heart when I grew up on Toy Story, and from Toy Story 1 to 3, and the way how they ended, it was just a perfect ending to a trilogy. Like, it couldn't get perfect than that. And then how consistent it was with the story of how this kid grew up with these toys, and and just the feeling of him growing up and going to college, and he knew that time to pass on his toys to another generation. It was just, it felt real, because that's how it is with us. You get attached to something when you was a kid, then you grow up, you have a kid of your own. If you still have that toy around, you might want to pass it on to your kid, or maybe keep it to yourself. But I felt it, and I felt like all 3 movies was pretty much flawless, just like Indiana Jones. Can't complain about one. I do think part 2 is slightly weaker than the rest of them, but some people do like 2 more than than all in the trilogy. But in my opinion, I think 2 was slightly the weakest one in the trilogy. But I do love all 3 Toy Story movies. I felt like 3 was a perfect ending. 4 was still good. I thought 4 was still a good Toy Story movie. I just felt like it was just a perfect ending. It was just would have stopped at 3, but 4 wasn't bad either. But the first trilogy of Toy Story is definitely part of my childhood. It's definitely going to be, a movie that I can always come back to when I have grandkids. I can always say, hey, I can pop this in, and hopefully my grandkids love it just as much as I do. I definitely know my kids love it just like I do, and I'm happy to grew up on all 3 movies, and it definitely did my childhood good. So besides that, that was my top 10 trilogies I have in my collection. Again, I don't feel like these are the best trilogy movies in the world. I feel like they the best in my collection. And if I ever say like, hey, I want to sit down and watch a trilogy one day, just pop in, just have a good movie day, the top 10 movies I just showed you, I can sit down and watch all 3 anytime. Even the honorable mentions, I can sit down and watch all 3 of them in one day and wouldn't have no issue with it, and I would enjoy myself. So I'm pretty sure y'all have your own best trilogies in y'all collection. Please comment, let me know what y'all best trilogy y'all would appreciate. I would love to hear from y'all. Let me know what y'all think. Please show your love. Click that like button. Please subscribe for this channel. This is Rainy Mad Cave, and I'm signing out. Thank you for tuning in, and peace.